and our usual anticlimactic intro, we just get into it. Yousaf, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
We were just saying, so you had a brief-ish podcasting career for a little bit there?
Yeah, a little bit. So I was part of the startup team for the Second Floor podcast that's part in the city. And that was back in 2018, towards the end of 2018 when we started it. I was part of it for about 3 months. There was a lot that I was personally dealing with at the time, and I just wanted to focus on more of the stuff that I wanted to figure out rather than trying to, start something new and then not be able to be part of it fully.
Absolutely.
So I'd taken a step back from it back in early 2019, and then the couple other guys that you mentioned, Kenny and Omid, they kind of kept it on and took it from there. So
yeah, man.
Yeah,
cool.
Good stuff.
So
I'll get you to scooch a little that way.
There you go.
And you want to talk into the side where you see the
Oh,
logo.
got you. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you
That
turn
makes
your
sense.
head, you it
Oh,
goes
yeah,
good,
yeah.
and then it turns away.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Here now. Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, this is much better.
There you go.
All right, perfect. So that's my I guess relationship with podcasts for a little bit, and then after that, I just obviously listen to a lot of different podcasts, mostly business related and stuff, and then Joe Rogan, as you were talking about it earlier, he's a legendary podcaster, right?
Most people have heard at least one, and especially males 25 through 45.
Yeah.
He's like your fucking god.
Oh yeah, Oprah for men. I'll admit it.
Yeah. No, he's a very intellectual man. Like just the way he explains his theories, and I like him for that reason because he's very honest. One thing I've learned, as kind of mentioned earlier too, like being on social media and then trying to either build a brand or just be yourself is very difficult, and a lot of people don't get that. Looking from outside in, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always every time you put out a content, people look at it and they kind of make their own stories up as they go, right? Because they don't have the full narrative. They don't know your background. They don't know what you're all about. So Joe Rogan being on that platform and then having his opinion and being very opinionated, it's definitely creates a lot of frictions, right, between the people who like him and people who fucking hate him.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So he's definitely I think it does serve you to be polarizing. It does. I think it if you're liked by everybody, then you're probably there's probably nobody that's gonna come fight for you,
And that's something I'm learning right now as I'm going and building brand. Is I have to have my opinions and I have to build my life around that and not change because of what other people might want me to be like, right? And that's something I'm learning and starting to understand. And it's taken me a while. I've been doing about my Instagram page since 2015, but it's always been on and off. And I've revamped it 2-3 times and try to, find my own voice on that platform. And now I'm starting to become more, when I share my stories and when I do stuff, I'm starting to take more pride in what I do. I've been showing up for free for, a while, just showing up, spreading positivity, talking about the stuff that I do and just, find some humor in it, but also try to find the message or a lesson from, my own failures in life or whatnot, right? So now being at that point, I'm becoming more open about who I am and the things I'm doing, and so that's pretty much my background with social media. So now I'm starting to learn that I just have to be very honest, be very upfront, and admit my mistakes, but also learn from them and share that message using my platform.
Nice, man.
Yeah, that's dope. Did you restart recently? When I look at your feed, there's only
Yeah, I did. So I revamped it last year. So I go through these phases where obviously being on social, it's a lot of mental game. You have to, develop that mental strength to keep bouncing back from what you learn and what you fail at. So I've obviously gone through different stages. I recently just revamped it because when this whole quarantine stuff happened, I was, doing a lot of stuff and different stuff, and I wanted to kind of bring my brand more together and just really be about my positivity and then my clothing brand and just kind of focus on those two things. I didn't want again, it's all branding, right? I'm learning how to brand myself properly, so because of that I just had to revamp it and then focus on the things I want to focus on my platform. Right. So I did restart that recently.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. No, I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat. There's almost you can't be afraid to be bold, I guess, right? And for me personally, on my social over the years, and I'm still working on this, like, kind of being like sort of sheepish with things, right? And it's like that's no way to get any good attention or make any noise or draw attention to you, right? Like it's
And social is very, very much about attention, right?
Yeah.
It just depends on what kind of attention you want to attract and what type of attention you want on yourself. But you're gonna get it either way, as long as you have a page, especially if you're trying to build a brand, you're gonna get attention either way. And I notice, like, sometimes I'll post stories that may be a little contradicting because I'm just voicing my opinion, and that's what I'm learning now. It's like no matter what I say, there's gonna be two sides to it that people are going to take. It's either they're on my side or they have a different opinion. But that's all that is. It's their opinion.
Well, it's engagement too, I guess.
It's engagement.
Right?
Yeah, it's engagement too. And that's part of the branding process, right? Like you have, and that goes back to what Thomas just said, like you have to have your own voice. You have to be authentic. And that's the only way to create that noise in the market space so people know what you're about. And then those people want to do business with you.
Yeah,
so
that's true. It's kind of like finding your people. You know,
I call them my peeps.
Yeah, it's just kind of you're putting yourself out there as many times as possible, and there's just finding those that from that one post, those two people that kind of resonate with it, and then goes from there.
And that's what I like. Like I'll post stories, whether it's like a morning motivation or like just getting in the gym or anything to do with that. I'll get messages where people are like, oh, I needed to hear this today, or thanks thanks for sharing that. That was a good perspective, and that alone is like what really drives me in building this brand. So essentially, I want to grow it out to where I am truly influencing and being able to touch a lot more people. I do feel I bring a lot of different perspective to what I do, so just have a different point of view on a lot of things, and so
cool, man.
Yeah.
Were you a McEwen guy too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated from there in 2017.
Nice.
In accounting. So
it's been
oh, no way.
Yeah, I was
15?
16 technically was my graduating
year.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so we might have been in that same area.
Vaguely
Building 5. I'm sure we were in Building 5 at one point.
Absolutely.
Everyone. Yeah.
Were you in that same program?
Yeah, I was management.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were all in Building 5 at one point in our life at the same time.
Some magical thoughts transpired in Building 5 of McEwen. So, I think
start a podcast.
It seems to be a thing.
It's school systems. They're. I've obviously being in accounting. I guess now we're all doing different things. Or you're in management, so you kind of.
Kind of. I
mean, yeah.
I honestly, I don't think you can go to school for management.
Yeah. It's kind of a vague sounding degree.
Yeah,
too,
it's like,
right?
what are you becoming, a manager?
Yeah.
What are you gonna manage? Yeah, man. School, being an accounting graduate and then having that degree. Now it's fair. I should say this as a disclaimer. I wasn't a great student. So maybe my point on all this is subjective to how I feel, but school just doesn't teach you, I think, the things you need to learn to truly have a successful life. It's just, and that's, again, my opinion, right? People watching.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have, for me at least, it didn't have that. And never the fact that I wasn't a great student, I still feel like that it just didn't teach me the things I think I needed to learn to, like, when I get out of it, I can still manage to grow and learn. It almost made me not want to study anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had a buddy who was a fucking amazing student, and he came out of there. He's like, I don't know shit.
Yeah. So I guess it's So I guess going back to that point. So it's not that bad. Take my opinion on it.
I think there's a lot of people that are kind of that mind now.
Yeah.
Of which mind?
That school is kind of this. I don't know. It's this stepping stone that a lot of people need, but at the same time, it's almost like, specifically for the business faculty, I feel like it's so generally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Maybe accounting or finance, but like.
But there's specific knowledge, but it's almost like a borderline arbitrary in that you can become a great student just because you know the like formula of like, read this off the slide, study for 20 minutes. Now I know it for the test and I can pick the right box. But have under any like synthetic knowledge of how to use it, sort of thing, right?
And that's I think the downfall of school. It tries to teach you a lot, especially a lot of things that you're just not interested in. But you kind of have to go through it to get to the next level. So you start developing these shitty habits. And I think that's my problem was with school at that time. Obviously you have to learn to then look back and then be able to like fix what you needed to fix. But I think that's what was one of the things. It just helped me develop like shitty habits where I was, I just wasn't getting this stuff done because I just feel like, well, I'm just going to study the night before and go in and pass because I really don't care about what I'm learning here.
Yeah.
So again, choices, right? I stuck through it. I just felt like I didn't know what else to do at that time with my life. So I was like, I need to at least have a degree so I can go work as an accountant, right? That was the goal. And even in that, I wanted to, when I got into accounting, it was a very early on decision. I grew up in Winnipeg. So I was taking accounting in a high school there, and I aced it. That was like, and I just aced it. So that's when I made the decision that I was going to be an accountant.
Right.
Because I thought, I know how to do this shit, right? So then I went into accounting at MacEwan, and after like 2 years of like learning, I just realized that it's like doesn't interest me at all, right?
Yeah.
But it was like 2 years too late almost, I felt like. So I was just like, I'm just going to go through it. Get out on the other end and figure something out. And even during that, again, that's why, maybe I didn't get all the benefits out of school, because even during it, my mind was like in all these different places. One day I'm trying to start an e-commerce shop, then the other day, I'm like, then I was trading in my MacEwan years. I was trading like stocks and stuff I did that for about 2.5, 3 years. First, like spent about a year on penny stocks, and then just like what was it called when you fake trade? So I did that. Paper trading. So I did paper trading. Then I did penny stocks. Then I went into I found this prop firm that like funded me money if I like bought their course or whatever. So I went through that, and then I traded like bigger names like Netflix, and that I blew my account twice on that.
Nice.
And a lot of like bad financial decisions within those years, right? Because I was just in that mind state of like, if I want to make money, I gotta start something like right now, and it needs to like start bringing me money in.
Right.
So I was doing a lot of those errors in that time, and even like after that, you still learn, you still grow. So during that time, I wasn't paying much attention in school, I guess, right? So maybe because of that, I didn't get all the benefits, because there are some people who like went to school and they love it, they have great paying jobs, and they have a lot more figured out in that term. But for me, it was always about like, I want to do something for myself. I want to kind of start something for myself. So I like kept trying different things during those years, because I was just like, I don't care about what I'm learning. I might as well spend time doing a lot of that. And I'm very grateful I did, to be honest, because now it brought me to this point where I'm like, starting to like understand what I need to do and what I want to be and where I want to be, right? So
fuck man.
Yeah. You're in the right place. So
yeah,
man. I mean, school is an interesting one and we've had this great debate many times of like formal education versus informal, with us leaning towards the latter, the two of us at least. And I think because there's a lot of, something you kind of said there was, because there's a lot of stuff you don't want to do, and that was always my beef with electives, right? But at the same time, like, I get the gist of it, because you don't want to send someone to school and only learn this one thing and be a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
But then when you create 800 little rules, then they just do blow-off electives. But at the same time, for me, like, I took psychology in my 4th year of university, because I realized I hadn't used all my 100-level classes yet. So I'm like,
best thing to do.
Like Psych 104, there's probably like cute chicks there. I'll go do that, whatever, right? And like now it has inspired a lifelong interest in psychology, right? So
there are some courses
sometimes
that are amazing.
accomplishes it.
Yeah.
And for me personally, see, I was kind of the same way where, I don't know, maybe as an accountant you can relate to this, or you're taking an accounting degree. For me, when I took the income tax class, and they give you a copy of the Income Tax Act, which is roughly about yay big for people watching. And I just looked at it. I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to do this for a career, man.
No, it's a huge book, man. And you have to highlight things and like leave tabs so you know which act to look at during exam. It was a stressful time of I can't.
Nightmare.
And so
Nightmare.
going back to his point, if I could ever, like, if you're watching this and you haven't gone through university, try to take all the hard courses in your first few years, as many as you can, like 200, 300 level ones, and then leave some of the 100 level ones to the last year. So you can literally have one last semester where you're just doing like Psych 100.
Yeah, Psych 100, and then maybe the capstone course if you're a business student.
Exactly. That's probably the best thing you can do.
That's what I did.
But
my last semester, all
smart
electives,
pretty chill.
But astronomy, bro.
But definitely for me, once I kind of made that switch in my head, that we were very similar where we were doing like entrepreneurial stuff towards the end of our degree to a point I would like not study and be like, I actually started my real estate course while I was in school still, so I'd only work on that because that's all I cared about. And then we were doing all kinds of like
we were selling
kind of
Amazon.
Gimmicky shit. We were selling on Amazon
reseller
I'm banned.
Stuff. Can't even sell on Amazon anymore because we had such bad reviews.
Wow.
We're looking at some shitty rental properties.
We started an irrigation company.
Okay.
That was our one venture that actually was
did
somewhat profitable, right?
Yeah, so did pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of both got into real estate after.
Yeah,
and you guys are, I'm guessing you guys are part of like the same realtors team.
Correct.
And like, is it just you two in the team or do you have more people?
We have two other guys.
Total 4. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I worked my past 2 years before post-COVID. I worked for a marketing agency.
Oh yeah.
So one of our clients there were, realtors and stuff. So kind of got to know that, that industry a little bit. They weren't realtors, sorry. They were like developers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. But they had like, realtors and stuff on their team. So that was interesting 2 years of my life for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Was the shop you started, e-com shop in uni, Kadns, or was it something different?
No, that was something different.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I was I think I was just trying to like drop ship like mugs and
whatever. Literally the same.
Like I was trying to So it's funny because it always takes me back to like I've been trying to do this shit for like 2015. I feel like 2014, 2015 is when I started the whole Gainz Talk brand, and I've been trying to like learn and understand that since. So with Kadns is like it's me and my friends started this last year. It all kind of came about as a joke because we were last year there was this in hip hop there was this thing going on Hot Girl Summer and City Boy Summer.
Right.
So
I wasn't aware what City Boy Summer.
Okay. So do you know the Hot Girl Summer?
I know what Hot Girl Summer is.
So City Boy Summer was like the opposite. Like so, Hot Girl Summer was all about the girl side, right? So the City Boy Summer was like
kind of the
like
response
the guys,
to it.
From like the hip hop industry. They kind of started this City Boy Summer stuff, and so we were joking around, like we're like, hey, we should make like City Boy Summer shirts because we always think we're like the coolest crew in in the town, and like every other crew, right?
Oh yeah.
So we're like, we'll start City Boy Summer shirts, and then that's how we kind of started the shirt. We like got them made, just like a print shop or whatever, and then like went and started taking pictures with it. Had a lot of fun, and then when we came back that night, we were just kind of like, well, this is just a trend. This is not gonna last. It's just for like a couple weeks more, and then this is over. Should we like actually start like a clothing brand or something, right? And then from there, Kadns was born. We came up with the name design. Obviously, Kadns is spelled like Cadence, which means like flow or rhythm in music or hip hop specifically. But we drew out the logo, and then we just kind of started like branding it essentially. So then from there, it kind of went on. Instagram's like one of my only favorite platforms right now, just because Facebook became like super complicated. Every time I go on fucking Facebook now, the interface gives me anxiety.
Oh man,
like
the desktop one.
The desktop one, I freak out. I pause. I can't move for a little while. You know what I mean? Because I don't know where to go find my photos. Like I'm just looking for my friend list. Where do I go? But so Instagram was like the one that we wanted to focus on. So we just started like posting, started working with our group friend groups, and like started getting some pictures and started branding it. And then April is when we like decided to like we had our first product out just for like our friends and stuff, and then in April we got like the website built and everything and developed all that, and then launched it on April 10th, and then since then we've just kind of been organically growing our Instagram page. And right now our goal is, to get to 1,000 followers. So just, making it, putting out in the universe.
Shout out, everyone go follow Kadns.
Yeah.
Link in the show notes.
Kadns, yeah. So we're trying to, stay organic with the growth, but then also, we truly feel like we're building that momentum, and we're bringing something really different to the streets of Edmonton. It's we don't call it streetwear, we say squad wear. It's for your gangs, for your people. But then we want to like intact with other brands. So recently we teamed up with a girl who does charms in the city, handmade charms. Shout out Charms Beret. So we teamed up with her to like have these accessories on our site. So now we're trying to collab with other creators in the city to like really help them grow, but then also collab with our fan base and people that know each other in the city. So we're doing that, and then the goal is to essentially just keep growing outside of Edmonton and get into other cities and stuff within Canada, and then eventually move into more of like custom wear and stuff. So that's cool, the goal with the brand. Yeah. So it's been about 5-6 months of like just grinding on the page and trying to grow the brand and really just get our name out there, and now we're seeing some positive momentum, so just want to keep building.
It's always good when the first sale comes in, and then
the
first 10.
For sure. Yeah, it's always a good feeling. Obviously, it's great. A lot of back end work that goes behind it, right? But on the front end, things are looking good. So
good, man.
Yeah,
that's good. How was it starting a clothing company in the global pandemic?
wasn't April 10th, like I was saying, we launched, and just around that time I had left my job. Like I was kind of let go / I wanted to quit and just kind of focus more on my brand and like just internal work. So it was like just around that time we were launching, and that's when like the whole pandemic was starting to come about, and it was definitely tough. We had our doubts, but the city kind of people that we knew, obviously it's our friend circle that's purchasing right now and supporting. So they came out big time, right? Showed us a lot of love. And so shout out to everybody on that end. Showed us mad love, and made sure that our launch wasn't a full waste. So
were your supply chains fucked up and everything too?
Yeah, everything. There's a lot of orders that got delayed, and but it is what it was. It was learning lesson, right?
Yeah, everybody was going through
it at that time, and like obviously from the economical point of view as well, it was difficult, right? Because a lot of people didn't have jobs, a lot of people, right? So we understand that. Hopefully, that's why right now my main focus is as a team also is like to just build our brand and like really put Kadns in a lot of spaces, and then when next year comes around, right, we'll see what happens. So
Sick.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you guys a little background, the whole clothing is based on hip hop, essentially.
Yeah,
so
I was reading on
the design I'm wearing right now is our Top Dog design. So these guys are part of Top Dog Entertainment. So we kind of did this anime look, tried something different with it, and or like a comic book style, right? So essentially in the middle right there is Kendrick Lamar. Then you have your Schoolboy Q, Absol, J-Rock, Isaiah, and SZA. So those are like the members of Top Dog Entertainment. It's like a hip hop group. So we were just trying to pay homage to these artists, but also utilize our brand to educate people about hip hop and where these artists kind of come from. We all my friends, we kind of had that. We all moved from different places to Edmonton, and when we moved here, like back in 2010, 2011. The hip hop scene just wasn't it. There wasn't clubs and stuff. There weren't like that much hip hop playing and stuff at that time. We felt like, but then as we started, obviously, the years went by. There's a lot more, influence of that here now. But at that time there wasn't. So it was funny for us to all meet because we all just kind of connected because of our love for the music at that time. So because of that, we just decided to build something around that. And even for me, right, I don't know everything about hip hop, right? Like, cause when I moved here, I adapted that culture, so I don't know everything about it. So even for me, it's like a good learning stage, cause like we're putting all these artists, and then to make the content, to do all that, we're trying to educate people on our platform with these, like who these artists are, what they're about, what they have done, what they have achieved, and so forth. So
cool.
Oh, sick. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
You do you rap a little bit too yourself?
Do I rap a little?
I feel like I've seen some stories.
I definitely I like obviously rapping along to like some of my favorite artists.
Oh, yeah.
Like have a song that's like I can jam to. I'll jam definitely. I'll go all out. But then if I'm with my boys and stuff, and it's one of those nights, I'll freestyle a little bit just for fun. But I'm not a rapper. No.
No. Okay. Album's not coming out soon.
Yeah. But I might drop I do have a goal, like those to-do lists. I do have one of those. I just want to one day drop like the hottest music video and like the dopest rhymes, and then just call it quits. Like just do one song, one and done. Just make it like the dopest, and then just come out with it. Call out some people, and then just move on.
Call out some people. Don't even reply. Don't even send their diss track back.
Just you're done, retired. Yeah. Maybe there's a power to that, actually.
But I'm not a rapper.
But I'm not just end it with that. But I'm not a rapper.
I love that.
I think I can hold my own, right? But
yeah.
It's
Bada
whatever.
Boop. Pop.
Yeah. Chicken nuggets. But yeah, man, it's definitely been interesting times. Just everything's been interesting this year, especially, right?
Yeah,
2020.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys been getting a lot of guests and stuff, obviously throughout the pandemic and stuff too. So like, what you guys are seeing in people, like, those that are able to maintain and kind of grow through these times, and then I'm sure there's some people who are, looking at it from the other side of like, this is the worst time ever.
Yeah.
Obviously it is, like, that's the reality. But I think there's still a lot of growth within this time. Certainly has been, in my personal life. So
yeah, I think because it's something we kind of always ask people, and it's really interesting, especially to hear someone who kind of made something of it, such as yourself, where you kind of started something either. And there's a few people who have started something because of it, like they had so much free time or whatever, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna do X project. But I think I don't know, everyone handles it differently, but I think everyone, well, it's almost a bit of confirmation bias, where if you're gonna be someone who's coming on a podcast because you're obviously promoting something, you're a little more of an outgoing person, you're probably doing okay from the pandemic, I guess, right? Fair, so I guess there's a bit of maybe a blind spot or bias or whatever there you want to say. But no, I think a lot of people were, the overarching theme is a little bit of like, it really sucked at the start, it's a little depressing, and then people are like, well, I guess I'm going to do something with this, right? And especially more like creative types, like just more time to kind of be maybe a purist in your craft or whatever. And then also people realizing just the boundaries of normal 9-to-5 society are something we all agree on. It's not like a law of nature, right? So you don't really need to operate within that by any means. And I think more and more people are getting away from that.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess it did open up like, hey, you could just stay home and work. Life, right?
Well, I think people also realize like it's gonna end at some point. So I mean, life does go on. So I mean, I could either take these 6 months or whatever and do something with them, or get fat and watch Netflix all day, right? So
it's definitely been right on that end. There's a lot of people who looked at it that way, right? And that doesn't mean like people who on the other side did make something out of it, they didn't go through tough time. I think everybody goes through it, right? Because nobody's been through 2020.
That's exactly it.
Before. So it's like for everybody, it was a challenge. And, personally speaking, that was the same thing. All right. When it started, I had this mentality of like, no matter what, I'm going to just focus on me and like really, take this time to grow. And then month went by, 2 months went by, and then it started becoming depressing because it was just like everything was, closed, and there was no hope or sign of like things ever going back to normal. So going through that, it did get me down, right? I had a couple months of where it was just like really dark. And then I just, I knew that sooner or later I needed to get out of it, because I put a lot of pressure on myself, and not pressure, I guess the wrong term, but I put a lot of like onus on myself that I need to like show up for other people. Right. So on my page, that's what I like doing. Right. That gives me purpose. Right. So I knew that I couldn't stay in that spot for too long. So I needed to like move past that somehow. And I always have this voice in my head that's like, chipping away at me like, hey, get your shit together, man. Stop being lazy. And I'm very glad I have that, because if I didn't, right, it would be hard for me to get out of some places. But because of that voice, I just, knew I needed to bounce back. So going back to the point of like people who move past it and people who are coming out of it on the wrong end, we all kind of went through something to like battle it, right? So definitely shout out to credit to all the people that are looking at it in a positive way, and understanding that because of this year we got to disrupt our patterns of what we were so comfortable with. We got to get out of our comfort zone, because now we're doing everything differently. So if you look at it from that perspective, it just makes you realize that I could do so much internal work, because there's this like shift happening, right, from what I used to do, what I'm known as, to now what I'm doing and where I'm going. So it's like if you just adjust to that. So I had to like go through that. I'm still going through it, right? There's still a lot of things that and I always like to make that very known, because I feel like sometimes when people see the Instagram highlights or the highlights reel, as they call it, right, it just seems like this person just has it very easy, or they're just chirpy and positive all the time or whatever. But I like to make it known that I'm always figuring things out. I'm always doing the work or trying to build on that, because I think it's when you look at successful people, or when you look at people online, it's just their life looks like it's so hard to maintain or so hard to like achieve, because it's like it's so perfect and this and that. But it's like, nah, man, everybody's going through it. Everybody has some fucked up shit they're dealing with. It's just a matter of understanding and then moving forward with that. So
it's well put. It is kind of difficult to see the highlight reel and be like, oh, guess I suck,
It's very dark. It's hard, and sometimes I feel bad, man. Like I would want to post something online or something that made me happy or I'm proud of, but I almost sometimes don't, because I feel like, how is it? And I do have, like, I was born in Pakistan, right? So I have like a cultural difference also. So we always have like these things put in our head when we were younger about like not posting certain things or not doing certain things to like keep the evil eye away or whatever, right? So I do because of those cultural beliefs that were put in from a very young age, it's like almost makes me sometimes feel bad that I shouldn't say something or do something or be me and just be a high personality, because that's what I like being or feel good at, because of how other people might perceive me. And like what you said, look at it and think like, oh, this guy has it so perfect. It's like so I always sometimes hold back because of that, and then I feel shitty holding back, because I'm like, man, now I'm not being authentic to who I am, right? So it's always that battle that I'm still figuring it out, right? So
I think we all are.
We all really are. And I try to catch myself when I am kind of looking at someone's, and there's literally a feature called highlights, so like it doesn't help the fact, right? But when I'm looking at that and like trying to catch myself where I'm like, oh wait, I'm looking at their day 100 and I'm at day 0 or whatever, right? Like I'm you can't start at the finish line. So just making sure you're comparing. Well, don't compare. Like never realize compare, you're looking at the end product or whatever, right? Or
so competition, bro.
Well, it's also as men, it's also difficult, right? Let's talk about that too, right? Because we have
expand on that.
We as men, we just have this, especially when we're in that competitive space, whether it's creative space or work, business, anything. We have this like in us to like be competitive and like not want to see other people. It's a built-in human thing, right? And you have to almost fight against that to get to a point where then you get to live in an abundance mind state, right? Like where you understand that if this person's becoming successful, or if this person got something that's going good for them and they're sharing it or they're talking about it, it's not taking anything away from my pot of gold, because my pot of gold is going to come from somewhere else, from the universe, from all the hard work I'm putting in. That's what's going to be my reward. So it might not come now, it might come a year from now. This person just got it early because of whatever good they did or whatever test that they're going through, right? Because even when you get something, that's also a test, right? I believe that, right, from my faith and my just being who I am. It's also a test of like how you're going to handle that, right? So when you get some success or failures, like how you're going to handle that, it's almost a test of your character. So as men, going back to that point, it's like we are just competitive by nature. So it's hard to like not look at other things, success of other people, whether it's in your city or outside, or because it's almost a flip if you guys think about it. Because when we look at somebody like, let's say, The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Everybody respects The Rock, or Kevin Hart, or these people like you. So when they I'm sure they still have haters or whatever, right? Everybody has that. But at a general space, everybody, like, whenever they share something good, we're always liking it, we're always sharing it, we're always talking about it, right? But almost on the flip side, when you know somebody, or when you're around, in that same space as somebody, but when they do something good, you almost have this like almost like that split second of like, I don't want to show love.
Right. Like,
sure.
It's almost more like, is it attainable? Like, it's just more real.
Yeah,
right?
it's more like in your face almost, right?
Yeah,
so you have this thing where it's like, I don't want to show love, or I don't want to support, or whatever it is. Now obviously there's a lot of like layers to that, right? Like it could be you don't want to support because they're just not a good person. Your acquaintances or whatever, but you don't like certain of their values or whatever it is. But in general sense, it's like, you as men, right, we have this competitiveness where it's like, oh, like I should I didn't get it yet, but this person got theirs, like, but moving past that, and those are the things happen to me too, right? Like I look at some shit and I'm like, man, I still haven't got mine, whatever, right? But learning to move past it is like the test of character, right? It's like understanding that their success is not coming from mine. Mine is going to be dependent on how hard I work and the time I put into my craft. So then as time goes, that'll just grow, right? So
yeah. Well, it's not a zero-sum game, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every time somebody wins, somebody else loses. That's I think it's just a numbers game. But it's like at the same time, your loss, right, could help you gain something else if you just learn that lesson from it and move on, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a loser for life.
You don't have to be a loser for life. You just have to be a learner, right? Like, just keep improving. I have this, tight a hashtag I always put: improve daily. Something I, sometimes lose track of myself, but it's also like that voice in the back of my head. It's like, improve daily, right? Like, whatever you're doing, just try to do better. You'll fail,
Definitely.
Even habits, right? Like, I'll try to develop habits. Since COVID happened, I've been trying to work on waking up early again. I used to love getting up early every morning, right? 4:35, I'm up. COVID happened, got into this really bad habits of sleeping, right? Like, I'll just sleep throughout the day because it's like the bed's right there, right? So
right.
I'll get up, I'll walk around, do some shit, and then, by 2 p.m. I want to pass out, take a nap, and then wake up 6 p.m., take another. And it's just convenient, right? No, you have nothing to do.
Right there. Yeah.
So that habit now, I can see it's almost a problem. I see it as a problem now. It's like I need to change it and like get my body used to like waking up again, right? So now it's like I'll do it for a few days in a week, and then I fall back to like sleeping in a bit. Again, adjusting and learning, right?
Yeah,
so.
Most definitely. Yeah, man, to be frank, like, that period of time would have been, the period to fall into those bad habits. It'd be so easy, like the food's in the refrigerator right there. Like, the beers are right there, right? So.
And it's, I think takes a lot of like just that mental voice. I always kind of go back to that. And I try to be that voice with my platform. Is like, I try to just share some of those messages, some of those things, so hopefully somebody else can just have that little spark, like, hey, I should just go to the gym today, I should just like get up and maybe do this, right? Like, I avoid cleaning sometimes, right? Like, I'll procrastinate on that till like a week goes by, and then now I have like twice the cleaning to do than I did last week. So learning from that, it's like those are the things I lack on, and I'm trying to figure out like, how do I do better next week? So like next week I actually fucking clean when I have to, right?
Yeah.
I always try to say it's just that learning. Life is all like the whole journey for me. It's just all about learning. Like, get better. So when I do leave, I can be the best version of what I could have been. right? So look at it that way. A little philosophical.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
I think it's realizing like you're never done, right? And I think too many, and I'm guilty of this. This is why I know it. Of like wanting to be like, you'll get to this point and be like, now I'm ready to take on the world, and that literally will never come, right?
No.
And I think too many people, like I know I kind of carried that around and was almost waiting to like be better to do things, right? And you know, I kind of had this. I think I've gotten over that, but then I kind of had it click of like, I want to make sure I articulate this correctly. Even like, let's say like good habits, right? You're never done with good habits. You're never like, here's my 4 good habits I do every day and can do them every day just systematically. You're not done, right? Because like even in the best ways, you'll never be done, right? Like because you have to put it in every day. I don't know. I started reading a lot about Stoicism.
Okay.
And it's really interesting. But the one line they say, and a lot of them, you know, Marcus Aurelius and all that stuff, a lot of their lines are like almost like dumbly simple, but there's a like profound truth to them. And the one I like the best is, one day is as all days. And basically what that means is like, to expand on it, and the context it's said in is like, you're kind of the same vessel, right? Like every single day you experience in your life, it's gonna be you. Like hopefully you're improving 1% every day, so you're better to take it on. But and for me, I've trying to understand that with like your goals, like trying to like whatever goal you have in like 5 years, 10 years, like that person who's experiencing that success is you, and trying to close that distance is something I've been realizing, right? Like just for me, because you know, I've been to talk personally for my real estate business. You know, I've been doing it 5 years now. I'm 27. Like I kind of had my ridiculous ideals of where I wanted to be, right? Like just setting crazy goals, and then it's like I'm not where I want to be, but I'm also not crazily far off, and it's just like kind of trying to make things click and understand like I'm that guy who's going to do that, right? Like it's not some version of me that's going to come along one day. That's me.
You.
I have to
You
get
just
there.
have to become
That's
that
exactly
person
it.
who's able to like actually achieve that, right? And I kind of a lot of times relate like life, what you have to kind of do in life to what you have to do in the gym. It's like
sets and reps.
Sets and day in day out, right? Like rep after rep. It's the weight's not gonna get lighter. It's the same person who benches 100 pounds to then somebody who does 225 or 300, 400 pounds. It's the same person. It's just that person has evolved 1% better every day or improved daily to get to that point where now he can lift heavier. It's the same thing. Right? When I was younger, I've had a lot of goals. Again, always wanted to do business, tried, learn sales, did all that. And then getting to this point, I'm always hard on myself. I always feel like that I'm not doing enough. Even like on the days where I do shit, I'm like, fuck, I didn't, do enough. It needs to move faster. But now I'm also at a point where I'm starting to understand that when I do look back, the whole time that from 2015 to me wanting to learn Instagram and wanting to do all this stuff, looking back now, I can see that if I didn't take those steps, although that progress seems slow, but over those 5 years, I'm at a point now where I can do certain things that I know are different, right? And the only way I'm able to do that now is because for the past 5 years, I've been trying to fucking just figure it out, just do this, do that, went into the marketing agency, took the leap from accounting to, worked in banking for a little bit, took a leap from there to go into marketing because I knew that my kind of vision of what I want to do, I need to understand how to do this better. So just from there, kind of going back to your point, it's like you're never going to, that other version of you is never just going to show up. You have to kind of become that. And I did this video a while back where I talked about, act like the character you want to be. And then that also applies to like your principles, right? Like your, like how you kind of live your life and your values. So it's like if you feel like that person who is going to be the successful or married or whatever that version of you is, that's great. That person is obviously doing different things in their day or making different choices in their day to be that person, right? Their schedule looks different, their habits are different, they're most likely working out, all that stuff looks different. So if you want to be that person, you just have to start acting like that person. And now it's not like fake it till you make it. It's like you actually do the work, but you just do it at your at that. So if you know that you want to be a bodybuilder and you want to lift all this heavy weight, you still do the same reps, you just do it at lighter weight until you get to that point, but you just keep doing it.
Sure.
So
yeah,
it goes back to that.
I think it's just progressions too. Like, I mean, I don't know, let's talk about building a website, for example. Like, you don't fucking understand that on day one.
No.
You go through iterations of it, and then, 6 months down the road, then you have something that's much, like, something that you actually probably couldn't have even conceived at day one, right?
Yeah.
So it's just continual learning too. It's this, we call it, we've had a podcast even just last week.
Yeah.
A young guy who was on, and he was just like, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just gonna do it. So having that kind of underlying ability to just start, even when it's kind of this, this daunting task. Because I mean, becoming let's say a bodybuilder, like that's such a pie in the sky goal.
Yeah.
And you're this 130-pound kid, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how many sets and reps do you have to do, right? But you just have to do it every single day. And when you realize that your day is really the only measurable unit of time, that's the big thing that I think that it's a realization that I've come to, I think, over this whole thing, is really your day is the only thing that matters. Like 6 months down the road, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A week from now, it doesn't matter.
No.
Yesterday doesn't matter either, right? So,
I mean, you still plan for that week. You still plan for that. And I find I should move a little bit closer here. I find some of my best days are the ones that are more planned, so I have less decisions to make in my day, versus the ones that are just kind of chaotic all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So going back to that, it's like, you can only control your day. The day you're living, like today, this is the only moment I can control. But as soon as I go into tomorrow, if I don't have an idea of what that tomorrow may look like, that tomorrow is going to be whatever tomorrow decides to throw at me, right? But if I have some idea of what my day looks like and some idea of what the key principles that I have to do, then my day could be more predictable and could be more better. And those are like the days that I have the best days, most productive days. I feel like I'm good at the end of the day. It's like I think it's actually from Joe Rogan's podcast, where he talks about like earning the right to be comfortable. Meaning, like, if you have a rest day, or if you want to take a rest day, the rest day just hits different when you know you fucking earned it, versus when you just kind of decided to rest.
Yeah. Feeling kind of guilty though, carrying it around, right?
Yeah, and that happened. I'm fucking guilty of that 100%. Like, many days where it's like I know I'm not having the most productive days, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch Netflix to like escape for a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
That whole time I'm sitting there watching Netflix, this fucking voice just, like in the back of my head, just chirping away, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think I like to say this thing like produce to produce, right? So for my content, it's like, if I want to produce my content, I have to produce something on the flip side, if that makes sense. Like, I have to, I can't,
like what, for example?
Like, I can't produce content on working out if I'm not working out.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so produce to produce, right? So I have to produce a result in order for me to produce my content.
Gotcha.
So that's something I like in online space, right? I'm truly like trying to work on being as authentic as I can be with my work, so then I can always produce my content. You know what I mean?
I suppose you could use it almost as an accountability device too,
yeah,
right?
almost as that, right? And I try to do that for certain cases, and I also like tell other people too, right? Like, some people are afraid to post because they don't know what to post, and Gary Vee talks a lot about this. It's like, just document, like quit thinking, overthinking your content. Just document. And I think that only happens if you go back to that produce to produce, right? Like, if you are doing the things to get the results, then it's easy to document because you're just truly living what you're doing, right? So those are the things that I'm not, at this stage in my life, I'm like really starting to like ask myself certain questions as to like, where my accountability lies within me, how authentic I am to myself with the things that I am doing, right? So then it allows me to gauge better on my online platform, because then I like to keep those two things as authentic as I can. So
yeah. Well, people can feel authenticity too, right? When you're not
being hard it's very hard to keep up too, right?
Fair. It is. It truly is. And if I feel like in the online world, it's easy to create hype for a little bit, but it's hard to maintain that hype if you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So
true. We've seen companies come and go, and influencers come and go.
Yeah. I'm sure. And going back to online stuff, like, do you guys? I know I saw like your video today about the housing stuff, right? Do you guys use your guys' platform like extensively for business, or?
Definitely could be more.
More so, yeah. And that's something I've been making a very, very conscious effort to be doing, and I'm continuously producing more and have more stuff coming down the pipe that I'm going to be working on. But it's something I have not done in the past and need to do more of, and I have been doing it. And now that I'm actually doing it, even semi-consistently, I'm seeing good results, right? And it's like, it kind of clicked of like, oh, if I want to get more clients from Instagram, all I have to do is post on Instagram. Like, it's almost stupidly easy. Why wasn't I doing it this whole time, right? Like, it's get out of your own way is the one kind of phrase, mantra, whatever that I say to myself, because and this is a stoicism thing too, that like most of our issues are actually, well, without getting into nuances, a lot of your personal issues are kind of in your own head, right? Like, of constructions you create, of like even you thinking someone is mad at you, there's a good chance they may not be. It's your idea of them being mad is what is stopping you, or whatever, for example, right? But anyways, for us, it's just getting better at that. And I mean, you can't be afraid to post online. And something you actually briefly said earlier, and I think we're right on the line of the generation, because the generation before us was like, don't share anything on Facebook. Your boss is going to look at that and you'll get fired and blah, blah, blah. And now like Gen Z is like literally everything, right? And we kind of like straddle that line, and I think it's kind of overcoming that hump a little bit, right? And even for me personally, I would say something that has mentally held me back is like, okay, I'm a realtor. I'm dealing with people's homes. It's a large investment, but I have a podcast called the Long and Hard Podcast on the side, right? So I was maybe a little nervous, and going back to the kind of sheepish thing where maybe not wanting to put it out there, because I was worried that maybe someone would like cross-pollination, and someone would be like, oh, you were making dick jokes on the internet? Like, and
you're selling me a house?
Yeah.
But it's like, I look
at it,
that's
someone I don't want to work with.
Yeah,
right?
it's like you'll have enough people, because you'll meet somebody through that same connection. You'll meet somebody who's like, man, I loved your fucking joke. I'm going to buy a house from you.
That's exactly
right? So
it.
it's like, and that goes back to like our very early point on, it's like when you're on social, when you're online or the media, you're going to have people that, whatever you do, you're going to have lovers and you're going to have people that don't like you, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's completely fine. It's just you have to basically develop your set of values. So you have to like almost take pride in the fact that you have a Long and Hard podcast and you sell people homes. And then that flip almost is what's going to, what allows you to then be just yourself. And something I deal with too, it's like my personal brand, like Gainz Talk, is more like, it's sharing positivity, but then sometimes I do dumb shit. Like I'll say something that's stupid or whatever, to obviously from other person's point of view, it's stupid, right? To me, it's like, that's my opinion. I just take it or leave it. But then I also get worried sometimes, because it's like, well, how does that affect Kadns? How does that affect, my other brand or the business I'm working on and stuff? But I have to look past that, because it's like, if somebody really likes me, and they see my brand, they see me posting stuff, and it makes them laugh, it motivates them, it inspires them, great. They would also be supportive on the other side for my brand. But if they don't, then they don't have to buy my brand anyways. Like, it's completely fine. I just have to be authentic to me, because it's my platform is truly about like me sharing as I grow. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah.
And I want people, and I want to take my life and the lessons I learn and try to articulate them in the best way possible and most simplest way possible for other people to like understand it. And then if they have a different opinion on it or they look at it from a different lens, that's completely fine. That's just what I'm starting to become. I'm starting to like fuck this. I'm just gonna be me. And if people don't like that, then that's completely fine. I don't ever, wish any ill upon anyone. But if I am gonna be opinionated about anything, you can either hate me or love me. That's completely up to you. So just be you, man. Like if you want to make long and hard jokes, fucking make them and then go and sell your properties. And when you're there, you're a professional man, right? Like you're there, you're professional. Exactly, right? So it's like that's what you're doing. But
well, if you can get 50% of a country to hate you, you'll be president. So.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
But it's and I'm seeing some yields from the relationships we've built through this, and I've been able to help people too. Like I don't just take from the system, I give and connect people. It's a pretty unique spot, right? So
I do like that about social, just like having the ability, especially if you're coming from the place of like you want to see other people succeed, you want to like work with other people and like actually bring collaborative energy to like a project or something, like from deeply, like you truly want to do that. I feel like social is a great place for that, right? Like if you meet people and our collab with this girl who does charms, right? Like she's a great girl and
cool shit
it's like we're gonna do cool shit together, right? Hopefully we both make money and succeed in what we do, right? So just coming from that perspective, I think it kind of helps you like look past everything and just like, hey, I'm coming at it with the purest heart. If my opinion, it doesn't align with yours, then too bad.
100%. Yeah.
I just try to. Sorry to.
No, go on.
I also think and this goes back to the like getting out of your own way. Like we almost have to like, without being too harsh on ourselves, kind of make fun of ourselves. Like if like anyone's great grandfather at age mid-20s ish, you could teleport them here and be like, hey, start a business now. They'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys sit around wondering what to do. Like there's so much with social media, right? Like it's too easy.
I had to knock on doors. I had to fucking pick up the phone and call through the yellow pages and
pump the well every day.
Anybody who made it back then,
milk the cow.
Anybody who made it back then, if our generation or even the next generation, God help them, in the next generation, if people back then had access to what we have access to, like they would kill it. Like I know like the stuff that I have to work on, and a lot of that has to do with laziness and procrastination and shit like that. But it's because I didn't have to go milk the cows at 5 a.m. and I didn't have to do that. So it's like I know because of those things I'm lazy at times, right? But I also know my purpose and what I want to achieve and stuff. So because of that, I'm constantly pushing myself for that. But it's if those people, if we were to teleport, our great grandfathers here, they would be upset, man. They would be like, so.
You mean I have to push buttons and make money?
We went through a lot to get here, it's I also gratitude. Sometimes when people do when they do have like deep roots, like they know their ancestors and stuff, I feel like they always have like a deeper like strength, like The Rock calls it the mana, right? Like the feeling, because your ancestors, where they kind of came from, the struggles they had, like when you know all that stuff, it almost makes you tougher, in my opinion, right? I don't have that, but I'm just speaking from the perspective of like people who I do come across, or who are like deeply rooted in their Italian culture, or deeply rooted in like their wherever they're from or whatever, right? It's like I think they have like that deep sense of like I gotta work, I gotta hustle. That's why like immigrant parents, right? Like when they come here, they like it's funny for me to say this, but me being on social and me being on all that, I still feel like my parents work harder than me, right? Just because they they have to. It's in them. It's kind of almost in them, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's why when immigrant parents they come here, they just have this like mentality of like doesn't matter what, they don't live in that excuses mentality, like I'll do it later, or I'll do this whenever, or doesn't need to get done. They just fucking go. I do looking at it from that perspective, I do feel like that we have it very easy, like very fucking easy, and it's almost too easy.
So. Yeah.
But hey, it's however you take it, right? Like I think we can still make the best out of it. It's just we have to do the work. So
yeah, I think a lot of good things can come out of hardship.
Oh yeah. It's a different. It's almost like a fire, right? Like it's burning. Like people who have like really deep hardships, they're usually the ones that are always pushing, right? They're usually the ones that are like always trying to figure it out because they know what that other end looks like, right?
Yeah.
So
you come from war torn wherever.
Yeah.
The best country in the world.
Yeah, you come to Canada, or well, the best. People say best country is America. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they taught us, right? Like from a very young age, America is the greatest country. All right.
It's in all the pop culture, so. Yeah.
So, but coming to Canada, like even for me, like coming from a different country, right? Like I've seen my parents work. It's just like, it almost creates like, in some cases, it almost creates a divide between the kids and the parents as well because of the language barrier. Because I came at a younger age, right? So I started adapting the culture here.
Right.
But I still had my parents that were from a different culture, so they didn't adapt as fast as I wanted them to, or even now, right? Essentially. So, just having that different culture and then that language barrier, right? It causes a lot of so the way I am today is because of my childhood and so forth, right? So that's why I'm starting to realize that everybody has different shit they deal with. So that creates their own opinions, and so now I'm starting to not get mad at anybody that has their different opinions, just kind of let them be because they just had a different childhood than me and they went through different shit. I went through different shit. So I look at it from maybe a philosophical and different perspective, and they look at it from their own philosophical different perspective. So it's
we everyone's kind of just a kid that grows up eventually, right? For better or for worse.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
So I don't think you can hold that against people one way or another.
Some people do stay just kids. They just don't. They don't grow up. They don't improve. They don't.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting older, those are that's the type of people I am trying to create that distance from. Even if they were in my life for a long time, but if I feel like that they're constantly not trying, if they're still just in that mindset where they're not trying to grow or not trying to just improve and be better, it's sooner or later, I'm gonna the distance gonna get larger and larger, right? We can't stay on the same levels if you're not catching up to what I'm trying to do, or even to some people maybe they already learned and I'm not on their level anymore, or whatever the case is, right? But it's I feel like you have to constantly push yourself in order to keep those relationships intact, because if you don't, then they will slowly just disappear because you're leveling up and other people are not. So
yeah. But there's also how old are you, by the way?
28.
28? Okay. Yeah, I feel like kind of around our age-ish is because I've heard the thing out there of sometimes you have to cut people out no matter how painful, even close friends, family, whatever. And you're like, yeah, that sounds really hard to do, but that's for other people, right? But then as you get older, you maybe realize this is something that needs to be done, right?
You also run out of time, man.
That's exactly
I mean,
it.
I'm guessing you guys are all single or at least don't have kids and stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No kids.
Yeah, no kids. All right. Not the ones we know about. No,
yeah, exactly.
Kid. But people, you get to a point where it's you grow up, but the people around you, they don't respect your growth. That's something also that bothers me a lot. Is they don't people around you that kind of know you from a certain age or from a certain place, they start seeing you grow, but they don't want to accept it or respect it in a way, right? They just won't admit what you're doing is right or what you're doing it makes sense, just because it doesn't make sense to them. So they're always trying to pull you down as well. So you almost have to then start cutting them. And no matter what, it is painful. It sucks. It's like, man, I wish I could still talk to you, like, or not talk to you the way we did, because that almost is part of the problem, because sometimes people don't grow and they still want to talk to you like you're, 18-year-old kid. And it's like, bro, like, I'm 28 now. I'm doing different things. I'm hanging around different people. Like,
I can't just smoke weed and play video games
just can't keep doing that, right? Like, the conversation needs to almost grow into like a different thing for it to still continue and build, right? And that's where relationship kind of cuts off. And you can't find time either once you get to a certain age. It's like, when you don't have kids, you don't have anybody, then it's busy. But imagine having kids then, and then having your own family and stuff. It's like, how do you keep up with everybody like that you knew from? So you have to start making those choices and just keep your circle small.
Yeah, I've never understood the huge circles. I've
always had
very tight knit.
Okay, that's good, man. Let's consider yourself lucky, right?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm
no. Go on.
I was just gonna say, I've always been good at like actually having like, a big group of like friends, not best friends, but good at like
acquaintances.
I kind of have like 3 circles of friends that like semi overlap, but even so, but it's like. They're a little more, your deep connections are like a close few friends, but maybe I'm just a little more of a socialite in that, just my aspect of
like
the business,
it's great to be social and like really know people and like be connected. I just mean like the close circle that like you keep, that
absolutely,
that people that you're talking to on daily basis or every other day. That's what I mean. Like, those people gotta be like the ones that are not taking away from you, like, or they're on your team, but they're also growing on your team, right? Outside people, like, it's like, man, you can't affect you can't care for everybody enough to like make sure they're all growing and they're with you, or whatever the case is. It's just your direct team of people that you hang around with. So it's like you 2 or 4 of you in the real estate team. If somebody in that team is like just not growing year by year, it's like there's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to like cut ties, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna suck. But if that doesn't happen, then you're almost doing yourself a disservice, right? Because you're expecting. I can't remember who said it, but it was said very well. You tolerate. What you tolerate is what you expect. No, I'm sorry, I can't find the quote in my head, but it was something like that. Like, whatever you tolerate. You what's the word for? Whatever. It'll come
allow,
to me. Accept. Like you encourage. There it is. Whatever you tolerate is what you encourage, right?
Absolutely.
If you're tolerating people around you to be lazy or to be whatever, then you're also encouraging that behavior, or you're also encouraging that behavior not only in them. The worst part is you're also encouraging that within yourself. So if you're around people that are not growing, then you're encouraging yourself to not really want to grow year by year or day by day or whatever the case is, right? So that was a great quote. Like, whatever you tolerate is what you encourage, right? So that's something I'm learning now at this stage in my life, that if I want to continue to grow and be better, I have to learn to not tolerate certain behaviors, and it all has to start with me. I have to, not tolerate laziness at times, right? I have to learn not to tolerate procrastination, because if I don't stop that within myself first, I can't ever really influence the person in my circle or online or whatever the case is. So all the work kind of has to start with ourselves, essentially, right? Internally, and then really grow it out to then that almost becomes your set of values, right? Like, hey, I was listening to something, and I think it was by David Goggins. Sure, you guys know who that is. That's a fucking badass motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
that guy's nuts. But he was talking about like you almost have to you almost have to improve. Like you always have to find the 100%. You always have to find that next 100%. So you're always giving 100% to that something. You know what I mean? So just always have to like look to get to the next level, and it never stops. Yeah.
Well put, man.
Yeah. Shit. This was a good episode.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
This was excellent.
Get some
this
gems out of it and like
inspiring as always, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. We always say, even if we get like not a crazy amount of listens, or this podcast is just kind of continues to be a hobby for many years, like we gain a lot out of it and the conversations with people.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's always because you guys probably get like so many different opinions and like
so many
and stories and where people are going, what they're doing, but it's always very, I hate using the word inspiring, but it is inspiring and uplifting kind of thing. So the question I like to end though with is what's next?
For me, personally, I want to continue
and the brand.
I want to continue building my person, like my set of values, the things that I know I want to stand on and do. There's a great quote by Jim Rohn. He's a famous motivational speaker, or was, but he said that every person's values is like the set of the sail, right? Like where you end up is dependent on how you set that sail. So for me, the next thing is to continue setting my sail the right way. I have a vision of what I want to be. I eventually want to get to a place in my life where I'm able to influence people, but in that's why my page is called Gainz Talk. It's about gains in like all aspects of your life. So I want to get to a place where I'm influencing people not only like physically, but heavily mentally, spiritually, and then also financially. So that's kind of like the vision I have for my brand and where I want to get to. But obviously that requires a lot of work first, me on myself. So my next step is essentially to just keep building that brand into place where I want to be. And it's almost like me creating a different character for my life. And that brand, that person he's who I'm chasing essentially. So that's what's next, is just keep improving, keep working on my craft. I want to get to a point where I'm helping other brands eventually to grow and do that. So and then for Kadns, it's the same thing. I want to, with my team, our goal is to just keep growing the brand and by next year really have it outside of Edmonton in other places. So
cool, man.
Sick. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming by.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. This was my this was my first podcast that somebody actually asked me to be on, so it was a great feeling. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, thank you for asking me. That's super nice.
And hopefully people can find you at Gainz Talk and obviously the brand as well.
Yeah,
right?
So at Gainz Talk is my personal brand, and then you guys can see the link for Kadns on there as well. It's just at official Kadns.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ho, ho, ho.